paid tribute to him, saying that wherever there'd been suffering or need, he'd reached out and touched many people with his deep compassion and empathy. He'd selflessly placed others first, radiating a genuine kindness and warmth and brilliance in all he did. After 10 years as Secretary-General, Mr. Annan had no thoughts of stepping out of the limelight, instead taking on other global roles, including becoming UN and Arab League Special Envoy to Syria, trying to end the civil war there. Already there have been many tributes from around the world for a leading diplomat who will be greatly missed.
To use is 0802-836-8971 and it's for SMS only. All right, let's start with you, Mr. Peter Osangbe. I mean, will there be a UN again without Kofi Annan?
Oh, of course, there still will be a UN without Kofi Annan. But that's not to say that he didn't live a distinguished life as a top diplomat.
Yeah.
For me, he was the pride of Africa. He brought pride, honor to Africa. The way he carried on in that, position with so much panache, so much experience, so much intellect. Don't forget, he was appointed from within the UN. That was the first time that was happening. So he rose through the ranks, having joined the UN in 1960 and all that. But that's not just the point. Africa must remember him and indeed honor him and place him in a place where we place somebody like Mandela. Reason being that he didn't bring dishonor to Africa, so to speak, because I can remember as at that time people were wondering how he could cope considering the attitude of the black man, so to speak. But more importantly was his approach and attitude in response to one of the greatest things that has challenged the world, which is HIV/AIDS.
Yes, during that pandemic.
Yes, and how he mobilized the international community to respond. And then in response to that was, if you recall, that was when they established the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. And I can remember then, as a consultant to the Global Fund, I was a consultant to the Global Fund based in Switzerland, and how, despite the pressures then and despite the challenges then, he was able to mobilize the influential, the rich, to be able to draw attention to the issue of HIV/AIDS. And if you recall, when Fela died, the Kuti family, and that's one of the respects I have for them, they were able to tell the world that Fela died of HIV/AIDS, thereby drawing attention to that ailment, meaning that if a Fela could die of HIV/AIDS, meaning that HIV/AIDS was no respecter of any person.
Okay, all right, Betty.
Okay, it's a big loss to Africa, not just to Africa, but to the entire world.
Okay.
And like his profile said earlier, he was the first black man to become the Secretary General of the United Nations. And also the father, he rose within the system. He was the first also to be appointed from within the UN system. He joined the United Nations at the age of 24. So that shows that he was a man of distinction. And all through, unlike so many other people in top organization, he was like a leading light. We had little or no scandal about him. And what I would like to remember him for are two major things: his dedication to global peace. Even after he left the UN, he was recalled back and made a special envoy from the Arab League,
Syria.
the UN to Syria. And just before he died, he was also the chair of the committee on the Rohingya crisis. In fact, I think the report was supposed to be submitted today or this week, and he couldn't live to really submit the report. And he was also the chairman of the Elders Forum,
the one
established by Mandela. So he was committed to peace all over the world. I know we've had some criticism of him being for responding rather slowly to the Rwandan genocide. But then I don't want to see him as a perfect person, but a man who tried to strive and to excel, in spite of the odds against him. And of course, you know that unlike what we see from the outside, in a system like the United Nations, there are a lot of complications. There are things that he will not come out to say. Sometimes their hands are tied. So, but I want to see him as a man who found himself in some very spectacular place, and he excelled. He was a man of distinction, and he was also committed to women education and empowerment. And I, like I said on Twitter last week, that women, both the living, the unborn, and even the dead, who are indebted to him all over the world for his, especially in Africa, for his commitment and his work
and for bringing the issues to the spotlight.
Yes. I think that he was a man that really stood up for Africa, and we're proud of him. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Alex. What say you about Kofi Annan?
Well, I think both of them have said it all. I don't know what more to add, but for me, I think if you talk of UN, the first thing that comes to my mind is Kofi Annan. You know, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, and that shows the kind of value he added to that global body. He was a great man. I see him as a diplomat. You know, he was a man of peace. You know, even though he's a man of peace, but he's a man that can put his feet down. You know, when he's faced with a defining moment, he does not sit on the fence, but he does his things very diplomatically, and he steered the ship of UN to the envy of the world. It's a pride of Africa, and indeed a pride of the world as a diplomat. And
just one point, we should not forget about Kofi Annan. His stance about the war in Iraq. He stood against the global superpowers that were really, really interested in going to Iraq against all logic. Yes, led by the US, of course. So I think that was a man of principle who stood against the tides and said this was a wrong war. This was a wrong war, and at the end of the day, he's justified.
Yes. Okay.
Just a Nigerian dimension to Kofi Annan. Okay. He was married to a Nigerian. But more importantly, our own Professor Kingsley Moghalu was special assistant to him for 4 years.
Wow.
In fact, Kingsley Moghalu was deployed to him. You know, and then when Kingsley Moghalu and I met in Rwanda, when the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, you know, Friends of the Global Fund was being inaugurated. He spoke so much about Kofi Annan and the fact that their relationship, they were like father and son. It was like father and son relationship.
Wow. I like the Nigerian dimension.
Biological children were born to him by his
Okay. All right. Some of his acclaimed achievements are, well, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2001 for helping to revitalize the international body during a period that coincided with the Iraqi war and also the HIV/AIDS pandemic. Also, he played a key role in bringing peace to Kenya following the disputed 2007-2008 general elections that spiraled into violence, leaving many Kenyans displaced and hundreds killed. And it was also the late Kofi Annan who brought retired President Kibaki and, of course, the rebel leader Odinga to the negotiating table, and many more. He was born in Kumasi in present-day Ghana on the 8th of April 1938, and ever since then there's been no stopping this man. He'll be sorely missed, as they say. And to that effect, here is another tribute to the late Kofi Annan. We'll be back after this.
The world that I'm working to create is a world that should be of interest to all of us. I'm working to create a world that is stable, that is peaceful, where we as human beings realize that we cannot consume the resources of the world the way we are doing, as if there is no tomorrow. It's going to be a disaster for our children and our grandchildren. The farmer knows instinctively that if you take something from the earth today, you have to put something back to be able to return to harvest tomorrow. Somehow, when we move to the city, we lose that instinct.
In all successful negotiations, there is give and take. invariably some supporters on each side feel that their negotiators gave too much. To those people in Kenya, I would say this: compromise was necessary for the survival of this country.
And if we work in partnership and we all do our little bit collectively, we will make a giant contribution.
Welcome back. All right, from the Kofi Annan story, we're moving on to yet another issue that took the whole of social media. Yes, and this happened on Sunday. The demolition notice issued to musician Yinka Ayefele's Fresh FM by the Oyo State government was effected early Sunday morning. Bulldozers in the wee hours of Sunday morning